I want you to picture something for me. Just imagine this scene for a second.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning. You're standing on the ramp at Meacham Field, which is in Fort Worth, Texas.
Right, okay.
Specifically, you're outside the Texas Jet facility. The sun isn't quite up yet. The air is still a bit biting, and that thick early morning fog hasn't even, begun to burn off the tarmac.
Oh, yeah. It is a very specific atmosphere, that pre-dawn quiet at an airport.
Hmm.
There's a stillness to it that you really just don't find anywhere else.
Exactly. And out there in the fog, there is a guy walking the ramp. He's got a coffee in one hand, his phone in the other,
Mm-hmm.
and he is literally minutes away from closing a massive deal on a private jet, like a Citation that is currently parked halfway across the world in Switzerland.
Wow.
Yeah. And by dinner time tonight, that multi-million-dollar aircraft is going to be sitting right here in Dallas.
See, coordinating an international transaction of that scale, it involves an absolute labyrinth of logistics.
Oh, I bet.
You're navigating multiple time zones, international customs regulations, translating complex mechanical logs, and, coordinating massive wire transfers across global banking systems.
But here is the hook for today's deep dive. This guy isn't sweating at all.
Really?
There is zero anxiety because he has done this exact dance over 200 times.
That's a lot of reps.
It really is. So today we are diving into a fascinating stack of operational documents, financial appraisals, and historical records regarding the Aviano Aircraft Company, which is based right there at that Texas Jet facility.
Okay, yeah.
Our mission today is to figure out how a company transcends the typical, everyday brokerage model to become this quiet, end-to-end operational powerhouse in the world of private aviation.
Right, because looking at high-end asset sales right now, whether that's commercial real estate, mega yachts, or in this case, private aviation, we are basically living in an era of incredibly loud salesmen.
Oh, totally.
It's a landscape that's completely dominated by flashy online listing services and aggressive digital marketing.
Constant noise.
Exactly. But true, deeply ingrained operational expertise, the kind of expertise that actually breeds that quiet confidence on a foggy tarmac, that is remarkably rare.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the word broker gets thrown around constantly in this space.
It really does.
What does the standard brokerage model actually look like in this industry? Because when I imagine it, it seems like someone just, I don't know, getting a tail number, taking some nice glossy photos, and putting them on an internet database like Controller or Global Air,
Right.
and then just, waiting for a buyer to call.
Well, you're not wrong. That describes a vast majority of the market. The traditional broker operates very much like a standard real estate agent.
Okay.
Their primary tool is basically a Rolodex and an internet connection. They list the asset, they field the phone calls, they negotiate a price between the buyer and the seller, and they take a percentage commission at closing.
And then they're just done.
Yeah, once the wire clears and the keys are handed over, their involvement officially ends. They vanish from the equation.
Wow. Okay, but the documents we're looking at today show Aviano operates differently. They use what looks like a full stack triad, so sales, management, and financing. And the volume is substantial. Like, they have moved over 200 aircraft since 2015 alone.
And the scope of those aircraft is incredibly broad, too. The records show they're moving Cessnas, Beechcrafts, Gulfstreams, Citations, and King Airs for a worldwide clientele.
So they're not just like niche specialists in one tiny plane.
Right. They aren't just brokering the metal, they are handling the entire life cycle of the machine.
Okay, so if someone is simply looking to buy a plane for their company, why do they actually need a life cycle manager?
Well,
Like, is being a full stack operator just a clever marketing buzzword, or does it tangibly change the mechanics of the purchase for the buyer?
what's fascinating here is how that triad completely dismantles the traditional incentive structure of a brokerage.
Okay, how so?
Think about the standard internet broker we just described. Their sole incentive is the transaction itself. They just want the deal to close.
Right, get the commission and get out.
Exactly. But when a company shifts from a pure broker to a life cycle manager, the entire business model transforms. Aviano isn't just sourcing and selling the aircraft. They are stepping directly into managing the maintenance, scheduling the crewing, and handling the daily operations of that jet after the sale.
Oh, wait. Which means they cannot afford to sell a client a bad airplane.
Precisely. Handling the process from the first call to the final delivery and then immediately taking over the operational management It aligns the company's incentives perfectly with the buyer's long-term peace of mind.
Because they're stuck with it too.
Yes, the closing of the sale is no longer the finish line. It is the starting line of a multi-year operational relationship.
That is wild, because if they sell a client a jet with hidden mechanical issues, the management arm of Aviano is the one dealing with the angry phone call when the plane is, like, stuck on the runway in Aspen with a blown valve.
Yeah, exactly. They have actual skin in the game.
Right. But a model like that only functions if the person running the management side deeply understands aviation mechanics.
Oh, ugly.
And the documents highlight the owner, Clinton T. Pye. Here's where it gets really interesting. It says he is an ATP-rated pilot with over 10,000 flight hours.
Yeah.
Is 10,000 hours unusual for someone selling airplanes?
It is highly unusual in the brokerage space. I mean, to put 10,000 hours into perspective, that is over an entire year of your life, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, spent physically airborne.
Literally just sitting in the sky.
Literally.
Yeah.
Furthermore, the ATP designation, that stands for Airline Transport Pilot. That is the highest level of aircraft pilot certificate available.
Okay.
It is essentially the PhD of flying. It requires rigorous testing and deep aeronautical knowledge that goes far beyond just a standard commercial license.
Well, the records also show he is type-rated in Citations, King Airs, and West Winds. And he actually worked as an instructor at Semiflight, specifically teaching pilots how to fly the Citation 650.
Right, and Semiflight, which is now known as CAE Dallas West, is a premier aviation training facility. And the role of a simulator instructor is a critical detail in understanding his operational mindset.
How so?
Well, simulator instructors do not spend their days teaching pilots how to fly straight and level on a sunny afternoon.
Right, because that's the easy part. They are teaching them how to handle things when they go horribly wrong.
Exactly. They spend their entire careers programming worst-case scenarios. They intimately understand the aerodynamics of an aircraft when an engine violently fails at V1.
Wait, V1? What's that?
That's the exact speed of decision during takeoff. It's the point where you are going too fast to stop on the runway, so you have to take off even if an engine is on fire.
Oh, wow. That sounds terrifying.
It is. They also train pilots on how to manage a complete loss of hydraulic fluid, or, how to shoot an instrument approach down to minimums in a blizzard.
Hold on. For those of us who don't fly, what does shooting down to minimums actually mean? Okay. Minimums refer to the absolute lowest altitude a pilot is legally allowed to descend to during a landing approach without having visual contact with the runway.
So you're basically flying blind.
Yes, on instruments. And if you reach that specific altitude, which is often just a couple hundred feet above the ground, and you cannot see the runway environment through the fog or the snow,
You just have to pull up.
you must immediately execute a missed approach and climb back into the sky. It is an incredibly high-stress, mathematically precise maneuver.
So when an Aviano client calls and asks how their new jet will perform in heavy weather, they're getting an answer from someone whose job was to literally simulate those life or death parameters.
Yes. Synthesizing this from a psychological standpoint, when a client is spending $10 million on a pressurized tube that their family's going to fly in at 40,000 feet,
Right, yeah.
the primary currency exchanged isn't just money, it is trust.
Oh, absolutely. When a buyer knows that the person sourcing and managing their aircraft possesses a granular emergency-level understanding of the machine, it provides a bedrock of psychological comfort that no glossy sales brochure could ever replicate.
That makes a lot of sense. You simply cannot fake 10,000 hours in the sky.
No, you really can't.
But as much as we love the romance of aviation and, the pilot's intuition, moving these jets requires a massive capital structure.
It does.
Like, a pilot's intuition is great, but a bank doesn't care about intuition when they are writing a $10 million check. So how does Aviano actually solve the banking friction?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture of high-dollar asset financing, we uncover the most significant hurdle in private aviation, which is the friction between the bank's risk department and the reality of the aircraft.
But wait, doesn't a private jet just have, like, a Kelley Blue Book value, like a used car? Can't the bank just look up the year and the model?
Oh, not at all. Aircraft valuation is staggeringly complex.
Right.
An aircraft's value is not primarily determined by its age. No, it's determined by its engine cycles, its detailed maintenance history, avionics upgrade paths, and any historical damage.
Wait, what is an engine cycle? How is that different from just counting the flight hours?
Okay, so a cycle is simply one takeoff and one landing.
Okay.
Every time an aircraft takes off, climbs to altitude, pressurizes the cabin, and then descends and depressurizes, the fuselage and the engine turbines expand and contract.
Oh, because of the pressure changes.
Exactly. The extreme changes in temperature and pressure. It's very similar to bending a paperclip back and forth.
Oh, I see.
You can run an engine on a test stand for hours
Mm.
with minimal wear,
Mm-hmm.
but the cycles, the constant heating, cooling, pressurizing, and depressurizing, those are what dictate the lifespan of the vital components.
So an underwriter who's sitting at a desk in a bank in New York has to somehow calculate the risk of these engine cycles and avionics upgrades before they approve the loan.
Which is why banks require independent, highly specialized appraisers. Finding an appraiser who speaks the bank's language, scheduling them to inspect the aircraft, and waiting for the report, it introduces massive delays and uncertainty into the deal.
Okay, now the operational documents show Aviano solves this through a parent company called CTP Holdings, which is also owned by Clinton Pye.
Yes.
CTP Holdings provides defensible bank-grade appraisals for financial institutions. But let me ask the skeptical question here.
Go for it.
If one guy's companies are finding the plane, officially appraising the plane for the bank, managing the daily operations of the plane, and eventually selling it years later,
Right.
isn't that just trapping the buyer in a monopoly?
It's a fair question. From the outside, it might look like a silo, but operationally, it functions as an efficiency loop.
An efficiency loop.
Yes. CDP Holdings produces the exact defensible reports the underwriters require, effectively removing the counterparty risk.
It's like hiring an architect to design your house who also owns the construction company framing the walls and happens to be the loan officer at your bank.
Exactly.
You never have to explain your blueprints 3 different times to 3 different departments, and the funding never gets held up because the bank doesn't understand the cost of the materials.
That is an excellent analogy. It streamlines the financial life cycle to perfectly match the operational life cycle.
Right.
And the company's literature reflects this very straightforward infrastructure. They avoid corporate labyrinths entirely. I mean, they list a direct phone number, 817-984-8668, right in the materials.
Yeah, and we don't normally read out phone numbers on a deep dive, but it serves as tangible evidence of their methodology.
It really does.
There is no automated phone tree or layers of middle management, but I mean, how does an individual learn to build an integrated, closed-loop financial and operational system like that?
It's time.
Right, you don't just decide one morning to integrate aviation finance, aircraft sales, and fleet management.
No, you don't. To understand the genesis of that structural knowledge, the historical records take us back to the year 2000, involving a company called Lancaster Airport, Inc.
Okay.
Clinton didn't just operate a business out of an airport. He took over the Lancaster Regional Airport entirely.
Wow. So what does this all mean? Like, the documents note he raised between $15 and $20 million in private and federal funds. He built 200,000 square feet of hangars and set a master plan in motion to make that runway the 4th longest in the entire Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Yeah, a massive undertaking.
And he also secured the state of Texas its first ever WAS instrument approaches.
This raises an important question for anyone evaluating a broker. How does the experience of physically developing an entire airport change a person's perspective on a single aircraft transaction?
Before we answer that, what exactly is a WAS instrument approach and why is securing one a big deal?
Ah, right. So WASA stands for Wide Area Augmentation System.
Okay, that's a mouthful.
It is. In simple terms, it is a highly precise, heavily augmented GPS network developed by the FAA.
Okay.
It allows pilots to navigate and land safely in zero visibility conditions with pinpoint vertical and horizontal accuracy without relying on older ground-based radio beacons.
Oh, wow. So it's a huge upgrade.
Massive. But securing the very first WAS approach for a state requires navigating a bureaucratic nightmare of federal regulatory approvals, safety studies, and immense infrastructure coordination.
So how does navigating FAA bureaucracy or pouring concrete for hangars 20 years ago actually save a buyer money on a jet management contract today?
The mechanism lies in understanding the hidden costs of aviation. Someone who has built 200,000 square feet of hangars deeply understands utility loads.
Oh, right.
They understand the difference in insurance minimums for aviation real estate versus the aircraft itself, fuel farm logistics, and complex environmental compliance.
Things a normal broker would have no clue about.
Exactly. When Aviano manages a jet today, they aren't guessing at operational costs or marking up third-party vendor fees. They know the bedrock pricing of the infrastructure itself.
That is a huge advantage.
Furthermore, they can accelerate complex aircraft registrations and compliance audits that would stall a normal broker, simply because they speak the FAA's regulatory language natively.
They see the entire matrix of the industry rather than just the single node of the airplane.
Yes, over a quarter of a century, that macro-level understanding of how aviation actually functions from the ground up condenses. It refines itself into the closed-loop brokerage system we see in these current documents.
It completely reframes the stereotype of an aircraft broker.
It really does.
Because we generally picture individuals in sharp suits sitting in a leased office somewhere, hitting refresh on a listing site, just hoping to flip a contract for a quick commission.
Right. But the documents suggest a highly integrated business model designed specifically to eliminate traditional buyer pain points. It represents the natural evolution of an operator's mindset applied to the business of brokerage.
Their official company tagline is, quote, "Fly private, fly your way, fly Aviano aircraft." And looking objectively at the structural data, the operational history, the 10,000 flight hours, and the financial integrations,
Yeah.
it appears to be a strategy backed by decades of compounding expertise rather than just, a flashy marketing budget.
It highlights the difference between a business strategy focused on merely renting space within an industry versus a strategy focused on owning and optimizing the entire ecosystem.
Which leaves me with a final thought to pass on to you listening. We spend so much time in our modern professional lives completely overwhelmed by noisy marketing.
Oh, constant noise.
Everyone claims to be a specialist, everyone has a disruptive pitch,
Yeah.
but often the most formidable, dominant players in any industry, whether that is aviation, global finance, tech, or your own specific field, they are usually the quiet ones.
Right.
They are the operators who have put their heads down, built the unglamorous infrastructure, and quietly logged their 10,000 hours while everyone else was busy talking.
Identifying the difference between the noise and the underlying infrastructure can completely alter how you navigate your own professional landscape.
So as you go about your week, take a hard look at your own industry. Ask yourself, who are the loud salespeople generating all the static? And who are the quiet, closed-loop operators who are actually running the show behind the scenes?
That's a great question to ask.
Keep that image in your head of the foggy ramp at Weecham Field at 6 in the morning. True expertise breeds a quiet confidence that never needs to shout.